Hello everybody, we're going to read the next couple of chapters of Cosmic so that we can finish it off this term. Very exciting to finish the book together. We are on page 316 and the chapter is called Dark Side of the Moon. It's hard to believe in things you can't see. Things like gravity. I knew in my head that once we got nearer to the moon's gravity would just pull us in and make us go around the moon so that we were facing the right way. I knew that in my head, but I felt in my stomach that once we were past the moon, we might just keep going, and going, and going, into nothing. And then the moon disappeared. I mean, it completely vanished. Florida started yelling, "It's gone! The moon is gone!" And Hassan and Max threw themselves against the window trying to spot it. Samson, too, carried on cheerfully working on his maths. "Can't you see what's happened?" he said. "Obviously, they've turned the simulator off. Great! It means they'll come and get us out of here soon." Florida was right. Where the moon had been, it was totally black. But maybe it was part of my new superpowers. I could see a pattern to the blackness. There was a huge curve where the stars were missing from the top right-hand corner of the window, as though there must be something in between us and them. There was a great curve of darker darkness on top of the darkness, like a bite taken out of the sky. I couldn't see the surface of the moon, but I could see its outline, where it blocked out the rest of the sky. It was like a puzzle. Once I could see it, I couldn't stop seeing it. I pointed it out to the others. It took them a moment, but they all saw it in the end. And while they were all looking, they all pressed against me, like I was really their dad. It's very frightening, travelling along with this massive blackness next to you. It looks like a hole, and it's hard not to believe you're going to fall into it. We all stood looking at the forward edge of the crescent, because somehow that helped you remember that we would pass out of this darkness in the end. Then, suddenly, the edge started to glow. Just a little at first, but getting brighter all the time. "It must be the sun," said Florida. But by the time she had finished saying this, we could see what was causing the brightness. And it wasn't the sun. It was the Earth. The first time we'd seen it since we left orbit. It was the size of a golf ball and too blue to be true. Obviously, we'd none of us ever seen the world from this angle, but we'd all seen pictures, and now it looked just like that. Our Earth. Our home. Then, in an instant, it changed shape. It went from a flat disc to a ball. It seemed to go pop, like if you've ever had a badge and squeezed it in on itself, then let it pop back into shape. And then there it was. Not a photograph anymore. Our planet. And we were heading towards it. I'd always wanted to see the world, and now I was, all in one go. The next chapter, on page 319, is called Doing the Dadly Thing. There's something about the way the Earth just sits there in the middle of all the blackness, with nothing holding it up, that makes you worry about it. I kept thinking that if I looked away it might just fall. I was so busy keeping the planet up that I completely forgot about Samson too, until he suddenly said, "Okay, well, we could go now." "Go where?" "If we burn one of the engines for 11 minutes, that will push us out of the moon's orbit and shoot us off towards the Earth." I said, "We don't have engines. This is a solar-powered dandelion." Samson, too, was flicking through the manual. "We have 2 retros and 2 thrusters, for burning out of orbit and for backing out of trouble. We could use them now, or..." "Or what? Go to Tesco?" "Or we could go round the moon one more time." "Why would we want to do that?" Samson, too, looked up from the manual. "If we stayed in orbit but dropped to a lower altitude of, say, 68 miles, that would give us greater velocity, so that we'd leave orbit faster. Then, if my calculations are right, Earth would be some 10,000 miles nearer by the time we'd been round again, so we wouldn't have so far to go. So, by adding the extra speed and the shorter distance, we wouldn't lose much time by going around, and we would be on a more beneficial flight path. They are really good, these logarithmic tables." So, we did another lap of the moon. The first time, because of the angle and the shadow and so on, we'd barely seen the lunar surface. This time, as we passed only 68 miles above it, we felt as if we could see every boulder and rock. I got the spotter's guide down from behind the sunscreen and pointed out the famous bits. The Sea of Tranquility, where Neil Armstrong made his giant leap, Samson too snorted at this. The Fra Mauro formation, where Apollo 13 had been meant to land, and the Sea of Storms, where Alan Bean camped. I said, you know, someone who has walked down there. That bit. See? Ridiculous, said Samson too. There's no footage of it because he broke the TV camera, said Florida. How convenient, said Samson too. He was the fourth man to walk on the moon. The third was his friend, Peter Conrad. And you know what Alan said? He said part of him never came back. He said he wakes up in the night sometimes and thinks he's back there, and sometimes when something big is happening at home, he feels like he's watching from up here. Like the Alan Bean you met on the Earth is an avatar in a game, and the real Alan Bean, the one controlling him, is up here. I looked back at the others. They'd gone so quiet, I thought they must be really impressed. But they were all playing with their wrist stations. When we were back on the dark side of the moon, again we all had the same feeling of nervousness and dread that we'd had the first time. We watched the edge of that curved absence where we knew the moon was, waiting for something to appear. And then something did. Earth again. Home. Okay, are we ready for the burn? 29 minutes to go, according to me, said Samson too. If we burn the engines for 11 minutes, we'll be on our way home. How do you know you're right? Said Max. I have never been wrong before, shrugged Samson too. Not about maths. And if you are wrong, what happens? Well, it would be unlikely that we would miss the Earth's gravitational field completely, but we might get caught in a very wide orbit, too far out for us to re-enter safely. We'd become a satellite of Earth, I suppose, like a lot of space debris, or a comet. Maybe if a comet went by, we might actually get caught in its gravitational field and— Stop talking, yelled Max. Can't you see you're scaring us to death? It's only a simulation, said Samson too. The worrying prospect of being dragged around the solar system forever on the back end of a comet was what motivated my genius idea. I said, Max, give me your wrist station. What for? You have your own. Yes, but mine has Professional Golfer on it. Yours has Orbiter 4, and somewhere in the menus there must be a free trajectory flight simulation. If we play it using the specifications for the Dandelion, while we're all here on the which are all here on the inside cover of the manual, then we'll be able to find out if our figures are right or not. If we play it in parallel with our real trip, then we can choose burn engines, and if it says good call, we know we're okay, and we can burn engines. And if it says, uh-oh, you're dead, then we're dead. Only in the simulation. In real life, we don't do anything until we get top marks in the simulation. That, said Samson too, is genius. Not genius, Florida beamed at me, just gifted and talented. So Samson too set up the wrist station and played Orbiter 4, and I copied every move he made, dropping the Dandelion down to just the right altitude, holding her steady, getting her ready for the burn. I told Max to prepare. You can start the burn. I don't want to. What? But you and Hassan fought each other for this job. Let Hassan do it then. I don't want to go back there. Back where? He pointed to Earth. Earth? Come on. How can you not want to go back to Earth? It's better here. How is it better here? This is deep space. But before he could answer, Hassan said, It is better here. And even Samson too said, It's an unexpectedly enjoyable simulation. I really enjoy the weightlessness effects. I like playing, said Hassan. I like the hide and seek and rock, paper, scissors. I like laughing about weeing. It's good here, said Max, because there's only us. No one telling us to win or smile or study or earn money. Or even shooting at us, said Hassan. What about my dad? He's a grown-up, said Florida loyally. But he's not like other grown-ups, said Samson too. He's different. I don't know why. I really wanted to tell him. I wanted to say, I'm a child too. But I didn't. I did the dadly thing. I let him go on believing. And I took them round the moon again. And again. Round and round, as if the moon was a fairground ride. And now I'm here in this command module all on my own. Where are the others? I'll tell you. I'll tell you because I'm feeling really proud of us all. I'll tell you even though you're never going to believe me. I know that even if we do get back alive, Dr. Drax is going to deny everything. Plus we've signed forms promising to keep the whole thing secret. The only way anyone will hear this recording and know what we've done is if we all die on re-entry, but this phone is somehow recovered from the wreckage. If that happens, I think I'd quite like my dad to know what we did. Because the thing is, The others are down there on the moon. Dun dun dun! You have to come back tomorrow for the next chapter to find out what they were doing on the moon. Very exciting. What do you think is going to happen?